Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
And very early, on the first day of the week, when the sun had risen, Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James and Salome, they went to the tomb. And they were going to the tomb to care for the dead body of Jesus. You must understand that the dawn of that first Easter day was anything but glorious in the hearts of these women. Be afraid, be very afraid is easily the theme of their mourning that day. So why is it fear they're experiencing rather than hope? They're experiencing fear because of the catastrophe that has just taken place. Catastrophe, disaster, collapse, defeat, failure, humiliation. Those are just a few of the words that can describe what happened to Jesus. It had all come apart in just a few short hours and a few brief days. Some saw Jesus as God's Messiah, and others saw him as a nation's Savior. And still, the outsiders, they heard in Jesus a word of hope and healing, of God's inclusion and God's acceptance. Many were there when Jesus came into Jerusalem just a short week ago with the palms flying and hands waving. So so quickly it changed. One of his 12 closest followers betrayed him for reasons that we do not understand to this day. And then another one of the closest of the 12, Peter. You know Peter, that most impetuous, vocal person. He angrily denied he even knows Jesus. Not once, not twice, but 3 different times. And immediately following that, Jesus is arrested, beaten, humiliated, and executed. So yes, it is. It's there at the foot of the cross on Good Friday that the story of Easter really begins, or to be true to the gospel that we've read, only a few women said, and they watched those events from a distance. They watched as Jesus died, and his body is quickly placed in a borrowed tomb. And the tiny band of Jesus' followers, they must say to each other, this is it. This is the place to stop. Because of crucifixion, the price paid for hope of the kingdom is just too great. It is no longer worth the cost. Its death marks the end of him, of Jesus. It feels like the powers of darkness have won. And then they went away to hide. And then our story picks up. Early on Easter Day, as Mary Magdalene and Mary and Salome, they step into the tomb. And then the angel greets them with the most remarkable and astounding words. Do not be alarmed. Don't be afraid. You're looking for Jesus of Nazareth. He has been raised. He is not here. Now go and tell his disciples and Peter that he's going on ahead of you, and there you will see him. Go and tell his disciples and Peter specifically. You remember Peter. He was the one who denied and abandoned Jesus. For you see, what we're finding out is that Easter doesn't mean that we have to get it all right before we are blessed with resurrection. Easter doesn't mean that we have to attain perfection before God gets to us. Just ask Peter. Peter was only the most visible and vocal band of Jesus' small band of brothers and sisters. But you heard the story. He loudly and crudely, in one gospel he says he denied knowing Jesus with an oath. He loudly and crudely denies knowing Jesus before he realizes what he has just done. Now, we have all had our Peter moments, haven't we? In our life, we've all had moments like that. Those embarrassing times when we wish we could take it back, or when we could do a do-over, or when we could just forget it entirely. And so it is that on the morning of resurrection, the Lord reaches out to Peter specifically with the others, and those of us like Peter, or even worse. On this day, the Lord blesses us with the power of life, with the miracle of love, and the certitude of acceptance and forgiveness. Why? Why is that? Well, let me tell you why. Because once you have died and have risen, Why carry any grudges at all? So let me ask you this. What are the resentments, the wounds, and the prejudices that we cling to so tightly this day? And if you die, and you carry those to the grave, what do you want? Nothing. You see, with Easter and resurrection, the old ways die, and new life has begun. Oh yeah, our culture understands Good Friday all too well, the day of the cross and the way of death. The world is full of suffering and trouble and unfairness. But the risen Lord says that we are to be, and we are created to be, an Easter people. Easter people have glimpsed, and they have touched hope that is beyond the pain. And they have touched hope that lies even beyond death. On Easter, the Lord goes far ahead of our limited experience and expectations. And so it is that as an Easter people, we follow Jesus on into the future, and we don't go backwards. Easter is God's way of being extravagant, gaudy, excessive, and extreme. Easter is God's way of going over the top, of being unbelievable and outlandish, beyond the rules, and yet even against the law. The ones who meet the risen Lord get it. Finally, they do get it. Is that God has done a new thing. Resurrection breaks all the rules. Everything that we expect has been shattered. The great grand news of Easter is this, that the Lord is risen. Like the angel said in the tomb, He is not here in this place of death any longer. For the women and the disciples, the experience of the resurrection is so unlike anything that they had known before that they had to come up with a new word for it. Resurrection comes from a Greek word meaning the act of standing up after you have been pushed down. What they are trying to say here is that this is not resuscitation of a dead body. This is a new and utterly different way. They had met somebody who was dead and is now alive. See, with Easter, grace and mercy prevail as if God would have it any other way. We and the world have been changed. We have. In light of the resurrection, we know what we were. And we also know that we can never be that way again. The resurrection of Jesus, though, is God's next to last step. Let me tell you what God's last step is. God's next step will be the transformation of the whole created order. With Easter, new life in us has begun, while at the same time that new life has yet to be completed. What we have already become in God, God knows. What we have already become in God has not been revealed to us in its entirety. But we do know this, is God is not finished with us yet. God is not finished with us yet. And God is not finished with this world. By all counts, the gospel story that we read today, the Gospel of Mark, it ends quite abruptly with the women leaving the tomb afraid and terrorized, they said. But again, let me ask you this. How would you feel if you came to a place looking for death and you find nothing? And then you hear an angel. The angel points out where Jesus has already gone, and that's back into life, back into God's new creation. It's something the women can't quite comprehend yet. History tells us they will. Now, what about you? What about you? How are you going to live this story? Mark's story of that first Easter, it does end rather abruptly, meaning there's something of a blank space at the end of the story. And because that blank space is there, we're invited to fill it in ourselves. So, are we going to take Easter for granted, or do we let the power of that reality explode in us? What do we ourselves know of the risen Lord, and how He's gone ahead of us, and Where's that He will take you? See, the whole wide world and God's kingdom has been made for this. They have been made for, and in much need of, an Easter feast.